Hi folks, Tom from Fandabi Dozi, thanks for tuning in. So what you just saw there is a little taster of the making of the brand new introduction for the Fandabi Dozi channel. Stick around to the end of this video to see it in its entirety. Now this animation is made of pictures entirely that have been burnt on wood, and this has been a collaboration project with the animator Archie Taplin from RaggedyArch.com. I was initially just going to announce and release the intro and start using it for my videos, but this has actually taken a surprising amount of work. It's had many moving parts, and both Archie and I were talking and thinking, you know, we haven't actually seen that many examples of similar animations out there on the internet, so we thought, hey, why not make a short video on how it was made? And maybe it might inspire some animators out there, but also some of the sound effects that we used for this animation have been pulled from some of my past videos and they've got a story behind them. So hopefully it's also entertaining. So let me tell you the story how this was created. Well, I first started the Fandabi Dozi channel back in 2012. I had no intention of doing it for a living, I was just making silly videos for the fun of it. And I think around 2014 I made a very cringy introduction for the channel. It was really loud and chaotic, and I think I used the song Drunken Lullabies by Dropkick Murphys as the intro music. I had no idea about copyright. I don't think even YouTube had the ability to pick up copyright back then. But anyway, I was just doing it for the fun of it. Later on I then shortened it to a slightly less cringy intro.
Yippee!
But in 2019 or 2020, whenever I changed the logo for the channel, you know, I stopped using that introduction, and I always had an idea how I thought it would be cool to have a little intro sequence from my videos that would be made of some sort of animation or special effects. And I had this idea of somehow conveying the three main topics that I cover in the channel, i.e. survival, history and martial arts, and also somehow combining the three elements, the three symbols that make up my logo, i.e. the flame, the logs and the triquetra in the centre. So I had this idea in my mind for a few years, and I've also been playing around with guitar riffs for a while, some things that might work, some sort of acoustic metal riff. But you know what, it just ended up on the endless list of projects that I want to do at some point in my life. But then, one day I got a message on my Instagram by Archie Taplin, the animator. And he just said something like, hey man, I'm a fan of the channel, here's my animation work. If you ever want some animation for your videos, hit me up. And I had a look at his work and his Instagram page, and one of his videos that caught my eye was this very short animation of a wolf howling, and the animation is made entirely of drawings in the sand. And I really liked that use of natural surfaces, especially in, you know, now we're in the age of AI animation. There was just something very grounding about using natural surfaces like sand and taking pictures of it, turning it to this animation. So I thought, okay, well maybe this time we can try and make this introduction, this sort of vague idea that I had in my mind. So I had a phone call. I told him some of my ideas of combining the three topics and the three parts of the logo, and we bounced ideas off each other what would work. I even played this guitar riff I had in mind over the phone to him. And I told him I really like that animation using the natural surfaces. And, you know, woodwork is one of my favourite things, and especially pyrography, i.e. burning designs on wood, is something I've done on many of my sticks. I've also, my partner Kiva, very talented artist, she's done some Celtic mythology artwork on sticks before in a past video. So essentially I really like this effect of pyrography, of burning images in wood. So I asked him if he thought this was possible, and he was up for the challenge. So we thought, okay, let's go for it. So the first step in the creation of this was I had to somehow communicate my vision to Archie. So I did this by just putting a click track on my phone and just recording the guitar riff I wanted to use on my camera. I then found some shots from past videos that I thought summed up the topics that I was covering, and then tried to convey how these would show the different parts of the logo, just on this rough video. The hardest part of that was trying to come up with a staff routine that would somehow draw the triquetra. So I did many attempts of me jumping around the garden trying to get some of that to work, and I found that if I did this cartwheel and did these two big cuts and turned around in the middle, I could roughly draw a triquetra. So it was quite a lot of fun, but I managed to get something that was close enough, stuck together this rough video and sent it to Archie. What Archie then did was take that rough video I sent him, put it in some software, and then put some effects in it to turn those images to make them look like a drawing. What he then did was get those screenshots off the computer and print them off onto paper. Him and his friends then milled some planks of wood. He literally milled out the wood to use. He then got those printed off paper and traced them onto the wood. Then, using a pyrography pen, he burnt each frame onto the wood. He then got a camera and took pictures of these figurines, of these burnt images on the wood. He then took these pictures, put them back into the computer, and then animated them all together to the click track, to that rough recording that I played on the guitar. Now I realise I summed up all of Archie's work very quickly there, but let me reassure you, it was not a fast process. It took Archie a long time to do all these steps, and I was blown away by the animation that he sent me. I was just like, wow, this is all images burnt on wood. This is so cool. So definitely go check out Archie's Instagram and his website and send him some love, because he put some serious effort into this animation. So essentially, after sending me a couple of drafts and a couple of edits, the main animation was finished, and he then sent me that as a video file. But that animation didn't have any music, it didn't have any sound effects, and it didn't have any text. So the next thing for me to do was to re-record the music. Now I have little to no recording experience, which some of the more experienced people out there will probably tell by the quality of the recording. But I had a decent enough microphone and I had some software on my laptop, so put on a click track and I picked up the Bodhrán. I've only played the Bodhrán a little bit before, managed to get a close enough drum beat that would work, and I re-recorded the acoustic guitar, the kind of acoustic metal riff. Now I don't have a bass guitar, but I knew I wanted some sort of face melting bass line, but I figured out on my electric guitar effects pedal I have an octave effect, so you can turn down the octave to make my electric guitar sound like a bass. So I worked out a bass line, recorded the song, stuck it all together. It made me really appreciate sound recordists and artists, because wow, it's harder than you think to make a song sound as good as it sounds to your ears when you're playing it. So I re-recorded the song with the Bodhrán drum, the acoustic guitar, and the bass guitar. The next thing was to put sound effects to it, and for me this was the most fun. I had so much fun doing this. Now some of the sound effects were stock sound effects I got off the internet, i.e. the fire crackling and the eagle screaming in the background, maybe a little bit of wind noise. Those were stock footage, but everything else was little snippets of sound from past videos. So the first part of the animation is someone blowing a tinder bundle into flame. Now I have many videos of me lighting friction fires, or flint and steel fires where you're having to blow a tinder bundle into flame, but most of the time there was some other background noise that was taking away from that noise of the tinder bundle. However, I did a historical trip with Julius from Smooth Graphics, as well as my buddy Jason. We did that the other year out in the moor, and I managed to find a clip of Jason blowing a tinder bundle. And it was just a nice isolated audio of that noise, that nice satisfying noise of the flame growing inside that tinder bundle. So I was like, yes, got that. Snipped out that audio and put it there. Now there's some other sound effects I just recorded in my office, i.e. the sound of the flint and steel. I was just striking a flint and steel in front of the microphone. Also I was playing around with waving a blanket in front of a microphone that makes this kind of whooshing kind of transition noise. Also had fun drawing my sword, getting that satisfying shing sort of noise. Played around with lots of different audio. Not all of them made it to the final animation. But the very last part of the animation, i.e. the martial arts bit, the guy doing the flip, drawing the triquetra, I had a lot of fun with the sound effects here. So the first noise the guy makes, shing, that's the noise of the sword being drawn in front of the microphone. The second noise, bit of a random one, but I managed to find a recording of me using a scythe. Don't ask me why I've got a recording of me scything, but I was very glad I did have a recording, because when you've got a nice sharp scythe on wet grass, it makes the most satisfying noise. Like, so I was like, that's a brilliant noise. So I took that out, put that in as the second swing. Now the third swing, as the figure hits the triquetra out of the frame, I managed to find a little clip from my past video, How to Swing a Stick Perfectly, where I was just demonstrating one of my training exercises where you use this hanging rope as a target. And I found this very satisfying kind of whoosh and whack noise of me hitting this, what I think was a frozen rope at the time, because it was in the middle of winter. So it made this nice whapa kind of noise. So managed to get that little bit of audio, put it in perfectly, so as I hit the rope, that was when the figure hit the triquetra at the frame. Now the final bit, the staff turns into a bow, and the figure draws the bow and shoots it. And I've got probably hours of footage of me doing archery. The best audio I could find of a bow creaking and releasing was a snippet from my past video, Forest Warrior Monk Training, where I was demonstrating shooting different weights of bows and how you can use it to strengthen condition for archery. And I had a shot of me shooting my longbow, I think it's a 55-pound longbow, and it makes a nice creak noise and a whack as it shoots the arrow. So took that again, just like 2 seconds, maybe a second of audio, put it where the figure shoots the bow. Now I was trying to find the noise of an arrow, and I was actually looking on, you know, stock audio on the internet, couldn't find anything that was satisfying enough. But then once again, scrolling through hours of my past footage, I managed to find a shot of me shooting my homemade longbow. Now this footage I think I shot back in 2020. I was shooting my homemade longbow and homemade arrows, and the fletchings of the arrows were a bit big, probably too big than you want, because they create a lot of drag. But when they create drag, they make a very satisfying noise in the air. This kind of ripping noise as the arrow flies through the air. And I found this shot of me shooting the arrow past the camera, and it made a really cool noise. So I was like, man, okay, I need to use that. But that little section of audio wasn't long enough to cover the whole time that the animated arrow is flying. But what I figured out was that if I just slowed it down a little bit, lengthened that noise of the arrow flying through the air, copy and pasted it, and then reversed it, it worked perfectly. So by doing that, it allows the noise of the arrow to fly kind of near the camera, and then the audio is reversed and it makes it sound like the arrow flying away from the camera, and then the noise of the bow being shot backwards is the noise of the arrow hitting the logo at the end of the animation. And that was kind of an accident, but it was a really exciting accident. I was like, ah, that works perfectly! That noise of it hitting the logo. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So probably all in all, from that initial phone call I had with Archie till the finished animation that I was happy with, it was probably about a month of work. It took a fair bit of time, but it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. So without further ado, let me show you the full intro animation in its entirety. Enjoy. So that's going to be the channel introduction that I'm going to use for the foreseeable future. Now, I might not use the entire intro for every video because it is fairly long. I might use the entire intro if it's introducing one of my short films, but maybe for some of my faster videos that need to be a bit more quickly to the point, then I might just take the snippet of the end of the intro. But essentially, now you'll see that from here on out, and hopefully, yeah, you'll now appreciate it more. Now you've got the backstory. I highly recommend you go check out Archie Taplin's page, raggedyarch.com. Check out his Instagram page. If you ever need some animation work, especially animation with a bit more of a twist, a bit more authentic, then hit him up. He was great to work with. He's an absolute dude. He's definitely one of the tribe. If you want to help support the channel and get access to behind the scenes footage, early access to projects like this, then check out my Patreon page. There I do monthly behind the scenes and Q&A videos. You can ask me questions, and yeah, generally we've got a bunch of cool folk there. If you want to find out more about my work and my online course and some free content I've got, then check out my website, tomlanghorn.com. That's all I've got today, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next Friday for another video for Fandabi Dozi Fridays. See you there.